Ever feel like you suck at this job? Motherhood, I mean. Have too much anxiety and not enough patience? Too much yelling, not enough play? There's no manual, no village, no guarantees. The stakes are high. We want so badly to get it right. But this is survival mode. We're just trying to make it to bedtime. So if you're full of mom guilt, your temper scares you, you feel like you're screwing everything up, and you're afraid to admit any of those things out loud, this podcast is for you. This is Failing Motherhood. I'm Danielle Bettman, and each week we'll chat with a mom ready to be real, sharing her insecurities, her fears, her failures, and her wins. We do not have it all figured out. That's not the goal. The goal is to remind you, you are the mom your kids need. They need what you have, you are good enough, and you're not alone. I hope you pop in earbuds, somehow sneak away, and get ready to hear some hope from the trenches. You belong here, friend. We're so glad you're here. Hey, it's Danielle. This episode's going to be a little bit different, and it's going to have pretty much nothing to do with parenting. So if you have no interest in learning more about my journey as an entrepreneur or starting my own business or what the last 3 years have looked like, go ahead and find another episode. I'm going to be talking all about kind of my backstory and my journey and experience in being a small business owner, or whatever you want to call it. Because yesterday I celebrated the third birthday/anniversary, I don't know what word it is, of Wholeheartedly. I had my first client session April 24th of 2019, and it has been 3 years, which is crazy. And I just want to look back. A good friend reminded me today that we need to celebrate how far we've come, because I am really, really hard on myself and my own worst critic, and I'm constantly moving the goalposts forward and continually frustrated with not being exactly where I want to be already. And I've done a lot, and I've accomplished a lot, and I am proud of myself. So I'm forcing myself to create this episode. 1, to just share more of what it looks like behind the scenes. And 2, if you have any interest in the future of doing your own thing or creating your own business, I would love to share my journey so that you can maybe learn a few things, whether that's software tips or just perspective and mindset that will be of value to you and inspire you in the future. I would love to see more women-owned businesses, and I would love to see you doing what lights you up. And I am an open book. I'm so happy to come alongside you and share anything that could be helpful to you as you get started as well. So I'm going to be covering how I got started, the pandemic, and all the small things that went into the first year and ever since. I'm going to be covering what I recommend for new entrepreneurs, course-wise, order-wise, just what to know going in, some of the things that I wish I knew when I started, and just some of the software that I use and some of the tips that I have figured out that work really, really well for me in my business, just logistics-wise. So stick around for all of those tips if you are ready to take notes. But before I dive into that, 2 big things I need you to know. Number 1 is Wholeheartedly Calm, my 11-week group for moms trying to parent strong-willed kids with way more patience, is starting May 1st, which is next week if you're listening to this in real time when I let this out. And I'm so excited to dive in. I just got workbooks in the mail already for those that have signed up. We are going to get started with Sandy over everything next week, and the Facebook group is just ready to go. I would love to have you join. You still have time. I can drop your workbook in the mail whenever you register, whenever that is when you're listening to this. So if it's on your heart to take action, go ahead and do that now. You will not regret it, and your kiddo will be so lucky to have a patient parent that has a full toolkit of strategies that really work and figure out how they tick. So go to parentingwholeheartedly.com/group to find out all the details. Number 2 is, because this is my business anniversary week, I really wanted to show my appreciation for you, this community of listeners, and also for all my followers and just anyone who has cheered me on and believed in me through this process. I want to give back to you and say thank you. The way that I am doing that is a free training. I have a presentation, a training I've put together called Survive Your Strong-Willed Child Without Breaking Their Spirit. And I have always listed it for a training price when I've offered it in the past. I have done it for some speaking engagements that I've been paid for, but I've never offered it for free. So some of my clients have access to this, but we've never done it as a free training, and I am going to do that this week. So if you're listening to this in real time, Thursday, April 28th at 8:15 Central, hop on. You have to be pre-registered, but I am going to offer this 45-minute, totally value-loaded training just for you as a thank you to celebrate with me this anniversary. So if you have a strong-willed tiny human between the ages of 1 to 7 and you feel like they're a parenting mystery, you just want to figure out why they are the way they are and what works for them, please join me on Thursday. In this training, I'll be covering why strong-willed kids are so hard to parent, the mindset shift that is so key to master, what doesn't work with them and what does, ways to leverage control for good, and how to powerfully transform your relationship with them. You will survive parenting them, and so will their feisty, spicy, sweet and sour spirit once you have the perspective and the insight that I share in this training. And be sure that your partner tunes in as well. It's 100% virtual, 100% free. Just go to parentingwholeheartedly.com/strong-willed, and I'll have the link to that in the show notes as well. I cannot wait to see you there. Okay, let's dive into all the things I wish I would have known as a business owner. First, how did I get started? So I'm going to try to make this a long story. If you want the full recap of like my career path and some of my previous positions job-wise and kind of the progression towards this business, go find the Failing Motherhood episode called How to Change the World. I share all of that in that episode. In this episode, I will jump right into where I was when I first was getting this idea for this company. So I was really unhappy in my current position, knowing that it wasn't going to last much longer. I was applying for other jobs and really opening myself up to the idea of, if I really could do anything I wanted to do, what would I want to do? And I had loved working with parents so much when I worked for Save the Children for a program called Early Steps to School Success that I knew I absolutely loved the impact and the influence that parents have over their kids. I think it is 10 times more influential for that family and that whole childhood than it is to work with a classroom of students for 1 year. So I know that my personality is also really good one-on-one. I build relationships really strong. I create a lot of trust. I'm a great listener. I'm good at solving problems. And so for me, I started to realize, what would it look like if I could work with parents kind of in my own way? And I really did not have any idea that parenting coaches were a thing at all. So what that looked like was Googling parenting resources online, finding some things like Common Sense Parenting, which is created by Boys Town, which is a local resource here, a few other kind of like hand-in-hand parenting and some other things. I knew of some other authors like Janet Lansbury and some other kind of notable people in the field, but still didn't know what that looked like or that it was possible to work with parents with any type of like certification, and still didn't know any like life coaches or anything like that. So I found a a resource out of like Austin, Texas that was called The Parenters or something silly like that. And it was parenting experts that were like just a la carte sessions. And so I was like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it. So naive. Let me tell you, if there was one word I could describe myself as a baby entrepreneur, it would be naive. And that's okay. I think that's what you need to be in the same way. And I always make correlations to parenting because it just makes so much sense for me. Starting a business is very much like starting to be a parent. You have no idea what you're signing up for, and it's for the best, probably. Because if you fully knew the extent of the hard and the difficult that you were signing up for, you probably wouldn't ever do it. And we do it because of the value and the worth, and it pays off. But there's a lot you don't know. And so that's one of my biggest takeaways. So, okay, back to figuring out what I wanted to do. I was writing down kind of just like some mission statement type stuff, some values, a little bit of like a business plan. I talked it through with some friends in person and they were super supportive. And I was coming up with like names for a business. It was like, Mom SOS and I can't even remember some of the other names that I had pitched out. I had a friend that I was working with that was my coworker that was in graphic design. And so she was like coming up with some logos for me. And this is while I was still at my past position. And then eventually it was still just kind of a floating idea. And I got pulled into my employer's office one day and I was let go on the spot. And with like no real severance, couldn't file for unemployment because they were a nonprofit, and really kind of screwed because my family relied on my part-time income. And so very quickly, it became clear that I was going to pursue this business idea, and I got started on it very quickly, where I filed for an LLC in my state. I filed for the tax ID number. I got a bank account for a business account and started, all the social media pages was kind of like the initial start. That was around, I think, like March 17th. And my first session with the client was April 24th. And that's kind of the date that I'm celebrating this anniversary. Now, in the meantime, I was just trying to post a bunch on Facebook and, share things through friends and start a website. I was working on a website from my computer in my bedroom. Didn't have a laptop at the time. I have pictures, working on my website from the library on their free computers. Very much like a Cinderella story, low beginnings. Because I had just gotten fired, had zero capital to invest into my business. And so the initial costs of the LLC and some of the initial software, I put on a credit card and then I paid myself back once I made that money back. And that was only $700. So there was no other startup costs. I really wanted to do the Common Sense Parenting training right off the bat because that was the only resource I had found at the time. And I found a quote that was basically like, don't spend money on your business to qualify your business. Make money in your business to qualify your business. And that I'm butchering the quote, but basically I decided at that point I'm going to go all in on trying to find some initial clients first. And then that gave me the time and space to realize that that wasn't the certification that I wanted in the first place. And I'm glad that I didn't jump into that right off the bat. And it wasn't actually for 2 more years that I waited to specialize in a certain brand of parenting, which I'm also really grateful for because I used all of what I know about child development from my degree and what works for my kids and what works for the clients I was working with to really develop my own understanding before then finding the thing that I felt like resonated so much and just put an extra layer of visual quality and labeling on some things for me of even better ways to say the things that I'm trying to say. And I found that with positive discipline. And that's why I have that certification now as a parent educator. And eventually, I think I would still love to get a certification in life coaching because mindset and thoughts are such a critical piece of success as an entrepreneur, success as a parent. And I just feel like that would create so much more value in all the things that I naturally do well and am getting so good at anyway in this coaching field. But so backing up again, I did all of that. The first summer, I tried launching like a summer sanity package. Nobody bought it. I created a blog where I was putting local activities for Omaha, Nebraska on my website, where every single week I would spend hours downloading like all of the flyers and all of the calendars for what to do for free with your kids, and then compiling that as like a newsletter format on my blog. And that was a way to kind of gain SEO and traction. I ended up then not even using that website and getting a new one. But that's what happens when you have a local domain. It was wholeheartedlyomaha.com. And with the pandemic, I was going virtual and working with people everywhere, so that no longer fit. So that was what it was. But then I started pitching to MOPS groups, which is Mothers of Preschoolers, and trying to find speaking engagement opportunities. And that was huge for me to start my email list because I was able to get down people's info that I met in person. I started doing that at Well Mama and a few other places where I got to meet moms face to face and connect that way. And I think find a few clients that way. But it was all word of mouth, social media, or those speaking engagements. And then right about at my 1-year anniversary of having my business, the pandemic hit, like right before. And at that point, I had a couple in-person clients that I switched to virtual, but I went almost all of March without any income and quickly realized that I had to shift in order to adapt like everyone else. And so now I'll kind of dive into like this part 2 of like how the pandemic affected things and all the small things that it takes to get your business started. So with the pandemic, I created a book that was called like Coronavirus and Me, to read to your kids as like a social story. And I offered that for free download with your email address. I signed up for B School, which is a course that teaches kind of like business 101 for online marketing and sales in general. It's very overarching, not very niche down, but I felt like I needed something because I have no MBA. I have no understanding of kind of like profit margins and, you know, all the things you're supposed to know to run a business. So for me, it was more of like, I need this for my own confidence and clarity. I wouldn't recommend it for the most part just because I feel like the most value I've gotten is from getting a business coach that was really specific to the business that I run, and finding other courses that offer very specific training on the things that I'm missing, like Facebook ads. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Here are all the things. I wrote them down one time when I was journaling because I needed to give myself credit when I was getting really down on myself. It's hard to not just have a couple indicators of like how well you're doing. And so I had to look back and say, look at how far I've come. So these are the things that I did in my very first year of business. Filed for the LLC, obtained the EIN, the tax ID number, opened a business bank account. That's critical. Opened business social media pages on all the things. Created my website. Found scheduling software so that for like calendar links. Found Canva. Love Canva. Canva is my best friend. Canva is where you go to create like free graphics and how I've designed my workbooks and pretty much everything I do. Had my logo designed. Read a few business books. Took a small course on, I don't even know what it was, by Allie Worthington. Set up Gmail for my email and the whole G Suite through Google for the drive and storage. Did ICA research, which is just surveys with, your clients to figure out what they're looking for, what they need. I did an initial workshop when I created the family business plan framework. That was in person, a workbook for that. I got a laptop, finally, created contracts, a welcome guide, set up PayPal for payments, found my couple first clients, came up with structure behind my questionnaires and plans and PDFs that I used with my clients, all kind of from scratch. Figured out my first in-person talks and workshops. I had a really viral Facebook post that was of my daughter crying about donuts at Dunkin' Donuts, and that opened me up to the world of trolls and fun things about the internet. But that really grew my Facebook page, and that was really cool. I joined a local networking group. I did a lot of one-on-one networking, meeting at coffee shops with other women business owners, especially ones that worked with moms, even if it was like a cleaning company, life coach, healers, just a bunch of like doulas and breastfeeding consultants. And that was like the best, because then they could connect me with other people that they knew. Did those speaking engagements for MOPS groups, designed presentations. I started webinars on Webinar Ninja. I don't do that anymore. I did a series at like a synagogue for a parenting class. I started guesting on other podcasts and came up with spreadsheets for all my expense reports and taxes. Launched the course for my family business plan. I did a vendor fair. I did a lot of decluttering. And I was doing sessions like in people's homes as like a side thing, because I'm a super minimalist and love to go through toys. I don't do that anymore either. Did an overhaul on my Instagram, set up Kajabi for course loads, or for like housing and hosting my platform online. Enrolled in B-School, like I said. Created kind of like a funnel, which is like when you collect people's email and offer them something for free. Started my first ads. I've not spent very much on advertising at all, and I really need to probably. Designed my business cards on Vistaprint, speaker sheet. I created that book, set up on Zoom and Stripe. All of that was just in the first year. Obviously, there's been a whole bunch since. Since then, over the last 2 years, to give you the quickest recap ever, I started Failing Motherhood. That'll be 2 years in May 10th, I think was when the first episode came out in 2020. There's now 65 episodes, including this one. I hired a CPA to make sure that I don't get audited. I hired a business coach that was like a group coaching mastermind thing. And that was huge for me, because that took me from really haphazard a la carte sessions with clients to creating my signature VIP program, Sanity and Solutions, and just having a whole bunch more back-end support in the building of my business framework that has been huge. Totally up-leveled everything and like made my business not die completely in the pandemic. I have guested on over like 40 plus other podcasts and been a part of other conferences and summits. I created and launched my group program, and it's now in its third round, Wholeheartedly Calm. I offer a free masterclass called Chaos to Calm. I offer Calm Big Emotions, the guide, for free. And now I'm collaborating with Sarah Olsher to create a kids' mental health subscription box, which I love. So excited about that project. All of that to say, it's been a lot. But I've gotten to work with clients in Kuwait, clients in Canada, clients all over the United States, collaborate with so many cool interviews on this podcast, gotten to meet so many amazing women that are just doing their thing and running with it and serving people so well. And I've learned a ton about myself and about business and sales and marketing and accounting and social media, website coding, all the things. Being a solopreneur is, and as a one-person business is a lot. You sign up for it and you think that you're going to be doing the thing that you love, and really you realize that there's 100 million things that you have to do in order to finally do the thing that you love. And so there's a lot of perspective and insight that I wish I would have had going into this. If you already have one or you have thought about doing your own thing in the future, here's some of my gems that I've picked up that I would love to share with you. Number one, I really can't underestimate the analogy of how strong the connection is between parenting and running a business. They're almost the same thing. Signing up to be a parent has been the most challenging and difficult and rewarding thing I've ever done. But starting my business is a very close second, where it is almost equally, I will say, as frustrating, defeating, mind-boggling, confusing, exasperating, exhausting thing that is also such a high and a joy and the best thing that I've ever done. So I know that that's not very helpful, but I just wish that I would have fully known what I was signing up for. And again, with motherhood, you never do. But it's a lot in a really good way. And you never know the low lows and the high highs that the whole experience has wrapped into itself. It's a roller coaster. There are so many times that you question everything. So many times that you want to give up, 100%. So many times that you have joys and thrills that tap into a level of joy you didn't think was possible. Do I recommend it? Absolutely. I have fought tooth and nail to make this work because it is so worth it to me. Not only because of the passion I have for equipping parents and helping the society as a whole understand kids and just the things that I teach and how much I believe in them, but for the quality of life that my family has, for the level of flexibility, and for me to be able to be my own boss and do what I want to do and carry out my purpose here on earth. That is priceless, 100% priceless. And have I considered going back to work for someone else? Almost monthly. But I keep going because it is worth it. It always ends up being worth it. But there have been so many nights of tears. Let me just tell you. So that's number one. Number two, I wish I would have known that audience growth is a huge, huge part of having a business in this day and age. And if you are wanting or needing to pay yourself from your business, then it's almost like kindling a fire. At the beginning of your business, the amount of time and resources and energy and money, capital, that you can invest into your business is like the initial spark that catches the fire and creates the fire that is your business. When you have to work less or you have to pay yourself, it like takes away from the fire and you need the fire to keep going. So you have to add logs. This is maybe a silly analogy that only makes sense in my brain. But if I knew that, I probably would have also started my business for the audience growth part of it and gotten another part-time job in the meantime so that I didn't suffocate my business by needing it to make money that I could pay myself right away. I wish that I would have started it and started on social media and started getting an email list going and started doing some speaking engagements while still having enough money without my business to pay our bills. But it also was extremely motivating to be like, I have to keep working on my business because we need money. But that level of desperation is stifling for the growth that you need at the beginning for your business. And so I have had other people reach out to me on Instagram that are thinking about starting their own business or becoming a parenting coach and wondering if they can live off the income. And I would say yes, but not for a while. You really do need to build up your credibility and the people that follow you to be able to have a base to offer sales to before you can start to take home that money. And you do want to invest in yourself. You want to invest in the structure behind your company. You want to make sure that you have the software you need and maybe the certification that you need, and all of those things cost money. And if you're ever going to do, marketing, that costs money too. I have made the choice to try to grow slowly and organically by not relying on ads at all. At this point, I've only really done a campaign on Spotify as an experiment, trying to advertise for Failing Motherhood this past winter. And then I hired a gal that was pitching for me to be on other podcasts. And that was my way of kind of that PR management for marketing. But just that is a huge thing that I didn't understand. And so unless you can make extremely entertaining TikToks that blow up and go viral right off the bat, you're going to have to take some time to build your audience. And so build that in to your 5-year plan if you can. And if you can live off of one income and that's your partner's, and so you can just start doing it slowly but an experiment, definitely start yesterday. So that's my second thing. My last thing is protect your mental health. Like self-care, all the things I preach about sanity over strategies, that all applies to being a business owner as well. It is a mind game. You will always struggle with imposter syndrome. And there are things that are just very hard when you are risking failure on a daily basis and challenging yourself and doing things that you've never done before every single day that are very uncomfortable, and then failing, literally failing, having no one sign up for the thing that you started. The first time I offered Wholeheartedly Calm, no one signed up. It's extremely discouraging, and you want to take it all personally and feel like you're not good enough. And I still am I'm preaching to the choir. I need to hear this today. It's much more about finding your people than it is that you suck. But your little protective ego mind is going to fixate on all the things that you're not doing well enough, or that you could do better, or that all of the no's and the people that don't want to work with you, or the troll comments, and take that as evidence that you shouldn't be doing this. Even the experts struggle with imposter syndrome. Even the world's best parenting coaches lose their patience, right? But I have to literally give myself a pep talk every day about how I am the coach that my clients need. And I am meant to do this. And I am a good coach. And there are people out there that need my work. And I have to keep doing it every single day, because the default is to give up. It is to just succumb to the frustration and the hard and the tired. And I have done that up and down so many times. And I know that that will still be there, but I have to be in therapy for myself. I have to have other women business owners that I can talk to and vent to that get it and that validate that and that can offer new, fresh insight and perspective and remind me of the things that I know to be true but just need to hear again. So you need to have a community. You need to have people around you that do believe in you, that can remind you of that on the hard days. That is huge. Huge, huge, huge. So network and find, even if it's just a handful I have met with the mastermind of gals that have all different sorts of businesses that all took that B School course with me. And we have met almost every week for a year and a half. And we met in person and it was the best. And these women just get it. And your spouse, your partner will never get it. Your best friend, if they don't have a business, will never get it. You need to have people that get it in your life that can keep you going when the going gets hard, because your mind will work against you. So find the things that keep you sane, the rituals, the routines, the books, the support system, the community, the mastermind, the course that keeps you on track, and stay focused as much as you possibly can and controlling the things that you can control, reminding yourself that it is not about you. When people find you and they want to work with you, it will be much more about them being ready for it than it is about you having something that is valuable or not. But that's really hard when they're basically just signing up to work with you and your personality and your expertise. It's very hard not to take that personally. So I wish I would have embraced myself a little bit more for that going in. Okay, so last thing, and again, this probably applies to a very niche group of listeners, but I feel like it's worth sharing because I would have loved to know this before. Here is the software that has saved my life. The things that I really do love and pay for every month and recommend. I'm just going to list these things off. And if you listen to this episode and you have more specific questions and we would love to pick my brain about something, I do one-on-ones with other business owners and collaborate over Zoom. Pretty often I have a couple slots each month to do that. So reach out over Instagram, DM me with any other things that you'd love to know about the business side of things. So obviously, me and Zoom are best friends. All of my sessions, group and one-on-one, are on Zoom. Canva, I mentioned, is a lifesaver. I've created pretty much every social post, every PDF I've created, everything, video, it's all been on Canva. Kajabi is where I now host my website, my email marketing, and my course content, and my funnels and things. All of that is through Kajabi. I originally had my website on Wix, and I originally had it on Squarespace and then moved it over to Kajabi when I needed a course portal platform. It is very expensive, so I would not recommend moving over to Kajabi until you know for sure that that's absolutely what you need and you're not going back and you have the income to kind of support it. But I love Kajabi. It works for exactly what I need it for. Acuity is my calendar software that I would not be able to run my business without. It is the thing that schedules all of my sessions and provides the links to have people sign up for sessions. It keeps my whole availability scheduled so I never overbook myself. Definitely a must-have if you are a coach. Google Drive, the whole Google suite. I'm in love with Google. I have a Google Pixel phone. Big fan. So obviously you need email, you need document storage, spreadsheets. I keep all of my client folders with all of their plans and everything on Google. For the podcast, I use Buzzsprout as my hosting platform, and that's the thing that literally makes it go out into the world. Love Buzzsprout. Squadcast is what I record on. That is the thing, basically like Zoom. We can see each other, but it only downloads separate audio files. That's Squadcast. That allows me to do my interviews. And then I edit on Audacity, and that's a free software. I really need to up-level to hiring an editor. So if you know somebody, let me know. But that's what I use to splice it all together. Then I also use Otter.ai for transcripts. I use EverSign for my course and client contracts for the official signatures. I have been using Google Keep, and I'm now switching to Voxer for all of my client back and forth support. I use Trello to keep a lot of like the passwords and templates and just all of like the business random stuff to keep organized. I track all my podcast episodes and things in Trello. It's kind of like Slack and Monday.com and things like that, but it's free. GoDaddy is what I've bought my domains on. Vistaprint is what I order my business cards and some flyers and things from. Any of like those marketing materials, stickers, things like that. I hired my CPA, who was a client family that I worked with, Sheila Hansen. Highly recommend if you are a business owner with some higher revenue. That's what she's kind of her main gig. And then Positive Discipline is the certification I got, if you're curious about that. And my business coach group program was the Freedom Accelerator by Rose Radford. She's out of London, now Lisbon. Actually, she just moved to Portugal. But she specifically works with service providers, coaches that are wanting to create signature offers and go evergreen with their group programs. And so she was awesome. So I don't know if any of that was helpful or if anyone will even listen to the end of this episode. But if you did, will you let me know? I would love to be able to know if any part of this was helpful to you or inspiring or just interesting, if you find that fascinating at all. What I really do love about living in this current world is that all of the resources to do it are there. Like, you can literally Google everything. There is a YouTube video to figure it out. That's how I learned how to edit the podcast. I just taught myself from watching YouTube videos. It's possible. You don't have to have an MBA. You really can create a business that is perfect for you, that you love, with the tools at your disposal on the internet. And yes, it is hard. And yes, it's going to take time. And it's not going to be an overnight success. But you can do it. And I would love to hear your idea. I would love to cheer you on if that is something that's on your heart. But just know everything that you need is available to you, and you're the one to do it. And I believe in you. So if you listen to the end, send me a DM, send me an email, tell me thanks. And I would love for you to be able to celebrate this business milestone with me by joining me at the Strong-Willed Masterclass, Strong-Willed Kids Masterclass. It's called Surviving Your Strong-Willed Child Without Crushing Their Spirit. And I'm really, really, really passionate about these kids because they're my Annie. She is my Sour Patch Kid. She is my high highs, low lows, never will hurry up a day in her life kiddo. And it is really, really maddening to not figure your kiddo out because it's just very detrimental to your relationship. A mom that I talked to this morning was basically like, yeah, I feel like I'm most worried about our parent-child relationship because I don't like being around her. So I'm just not sometimes. And I don't want that to be the prevailing factor because I want to have a different relationship with her than I had with my mom. And I want her to feel heard and talk to me about things and come home for Christmas and, have this really strong foundation. And I also know it's affecting my relationship with my other child too, because they're the ones that are like getting the short end of the stick when I'm dealing with all these meltdowns and so stressed out. So if you want to figure out what is going on in your little's head and why they are the way they are, then join me for the Surviving Your Strong-Willed Child Masterclass. There will not be a replay, so you have to jump in live. But if you can make it, I would love to see you there. Go register at parentingwholeheartedly.com/strong-willed. And the link will be in the show notes as well. So if you have just been along for the ride, if you're an OG since episode 1, if you found me from that viral donut post about the meltdown at Dunkin' Donuts, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you for sharing and mentioning the podcast with a friend, leaving a review on Apple Podcasts, finding me on Instagram, all the things. If you would just do me the solid and share Wholeheartedly in some way with one friend this week, I would be so grateful and so thankful for your support. It really, really means the world. Word of mouth is the biggest compliment, and it is the thing that keeps me going on those hard days. So thank you for coming on this journey with me. I believe in you, and I'm cheering you on.